Have you ever wanted to make a haunted house facade for your Halloween display, but you never really attempted it because you either thought you didn't know how to do it, it would be too hard, or you didn't have the funding to do it? Well, I'm here to tell you, you can do this because I did it. I had no budget and no real know-how to do it. So here's this big, huge video, the entire thing, and me putting this together from scratch. The guy who really didn't know what he was doing. The facade I'm wanting to do is based off of the look I found of this picture right here on the internet. I thought that thing was pretty cool. So I know that a lot of people, when they build their facades, they use the pink foam, which I've used for other stuff where I didn't have to buy a whole lot, and it's wonderful. It's easy to work with. But for what I needed, if I did that, I was going to be like almost $700 just in foam. I just don't have that to spend right now, so I'll show you what I got. I hope it works. So I got this half-inch stuff, and I almost kicked myself in the butt because this really isn't a foam. This is compacted fiberglass, really, is what this is. So this junk's going to be itchy to work with. It's basically going to suck. But it's what I got. It was cheaper, and I'm going to see if I can make it work. A big shout out to Hollywood Haunters. If you guys don't know who they are on YouTube, you need to go find them, subscribe them. They make some incredible stuff, especially when it comes to facade work and things like that. Unbelievable. Everything they make is just absolutely on par. Beautiful stuff. But they got some videos on there where they talk about set panels. And on the back sides, they use 1x3s so they can lock everything together. I priced 1x3s for this project, and yeah, that was $650 worth of material, so I shied away from that one too. Instead, I basically bought these 1x2 furring strips. I'm hoping I can cheat it and make these things work, because they were way cheaper than the 1x3s that I found. I've made, basically these are all the panels besides the ones out there. Those are 6 foot long by 4 foot wide, and that's how I'm going to do my panels. 6 foot long, 4 foot. We're going to build them this way in 3 sections. And then these are 2 foot panels that are 4 foot tall as well. Because the front part of the house, according to that picture, kind of steps out a little bit, so I'm going to go 2 foot out, right? And then I'm going to, on the ends of each wall, I'm going to go 2 foot back again, help with keeping it stable and stuff. I'll have to put some other supports in on the back and tie it all down. But anyway, I thought it would help out and would give at least a side piece to it. Well, let me show you what I'm doing. This may be the wrong approach. Who knows, but it's how I'm doing it. What I'm doing is kind of putting it together first, making these anchor points. I've got some bolts with some wing nuts. Basically, what I want to be able to do with this is be able to assemble it, tear it all down, make it smaller so I can store it, pull it all back out in panel sections, and just basically bolt everything back up together. So right now, I'm going to build this entire frame it all out, make sure it's halfway square. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfectly square. It's an old rotten house. But get all the bolts put in, all these locations where everything's going to slide together and tighten down an anchor. Once I have that set in, then I'm going to start skinning it. Then after I skin it, I'll detail it and all that stuff. Make it look like a house. So that may be a bunch of extra steps. I mean, I don't know. I don't do facades. I've never really done a facade. So this is how I'm doing it. I may be taking 20,002 steps too many and then going back. Anybody that's out there that's done them, you can tell me how bad I'm screwing this up. Anyway, day 2. I'll show you what I got. So when I was thinking about this thing, it's like 18 feet across, which I felt like was relatively small because I wanted to cover the whole house. And then that's just 12 feet right there, which I also thought was small until now that I got up there, and that's a lot taller, like a lot taller than in my head. I got another 2-foot section to go on top of that to make this piece 14 foot tall, so it's a little bit taller than this. Yeah, this video series here is going to be way out of normal from this what I normally do on this channel. If you guys want to follow along on this crazy build that I'm doing, tune in. Each weekend I'm going to try to give you some progression as this thing goes along. I don't really know how long it's going to take, but I'm bound and determined to get it done before Halloween. Good morning. In case you're new to the channel or you didn't see last week's deal or whatever, you're going to watch me try to build a haunted house facade. And if that sounds interesting to you, keep on watching. All right, so before we get into, building this thing, or you guys watching me try to build this thing, I'll show you some progression from what you saw last weekend, because I worked on it, during the week. As far as kind of the front of this goes, here we are. We got this skinned. Last week I was saying that I thought this stuff was like compressed fiberglass of sorts, but thank goodness it's not. So once I pulled the sheeting off of here, it is a foam, but it kind of reminds me of like Great Stuff expandable foam that's been compressed down. I'll show you real quick with a little more detail kind of how I did these panels and how they're securing up and all that stuff. On all these things, I put them together, and then I drilled through and did these eye bolts like this. There's not an eye bolt, but bolts through. There's one there. There's basically 1, 2, there's 4 on each 6-foot panel that holds it into the bottom. Then I made mounting points like this when it connected to the side. So we got another 3 points for that to bolt through and hold each piece to the next piece that comes across, to kind of tighten it out. And then as we go, I'll be putting some bracing in on the sides to keep it a little more stable. Same way on the inside. And I'm going to do that from the bottom, each rung all the way up. And then to keep this thing from, back and forth, falling, things like that, I got bought some 12-foot 2x4s that's going to come in here and basically make a big leg style brace that'll screw in. And then I'll either stake those legs to the yard or put some weight on them. I got iron weights and stuff, so I put some weights on them. Anyway, you keep it, from wanting to tilt back and forth. And then I've got some eye bolts and things. It should be close enough to the house that I'll be able to run some eye bolts and a tensioner and run some cable to the top sides of my gables in the house and create another secure point there to keep this thing from falling over, which I think should be pretty good and safe enough. Right here, this is the top that's going to go up here. Too tall to put this stuff together up there, so basically I'm going to build all this on the ground, and then whenever we put the whole thing together, sections at a time, will go up. This is basically the roof line type situation where you get the roof overhang coming off the walls. Same thing with this. I wanted the roof to be removable. I just set this up last night. I'll be drilling holes through these two to make anchor points with bolts that'll hold these things on. I also went to help fitment. Once we get on, I tagged in some of these 2x strips through here. So basically this will, kind of come down and lock into place with this here, and then we'll bolt through on that. And then I'm going to build, I want the roof to kind of come at an angle like this, maybe 2 foot up this way, and then on this side it'll be kind of an angle in, so the roof will come down, and hit along this line here, and then that's going to be what protrudes out. Got to come up with some kind of system here for it to hang on to. A few things I still got to work out. It's just on the fly, right? I don't know what I'm doing. This whole thing has just been, you know, putting it together as I go, trying to figure stuff out. Today, not much is going to happen. Earlier this week was my birthday, and so I've got family, friends coming over this afternoon to do a little birthday celebration. So I'm not going to get a whole lot of work on this done today, but I am going to get a little bit of work on this done today, and most of the work in progress will be tomorrow. Last night, I may have celebrated just a little too much. So I got a late start today. Oh, feeling rough this morning. Anyway, I've got these standoffs. This is gonna be like the roof, right? So they kind of slant back just a little bit, and these are just, you know, this is just about a foot tall or whatever. This is the gable, whatever, coming off the house, and then, you know, boom on that side. And then we've got same thing over here. And then tomorrow I'm going to work on that top section. It's going to be probably 2 feet, 2.5 feet. It'll be bigger than that, but still kind of short. Yeah, I came in here just like with the other panels and used bolts to hold it down. We did another little kind of a backer plate here to go up against the frame to make it easy to set on top, but it's secured down with like 6 bolts there. These of course are, this part here is screwed to that, and then back here I'll just have a little piece, this little piece of wood just protruding on the wall, just so over time, if this needs to rest on that, it rests on it. So yeah, so I think that's going to work. At least it's going to work for me, or at least we're going to give it a try. We'll find out if it works. All right, as you can see, 1, 2, 3. These are all the roof sections that are going to go on top. This is our top pieces here for basically the second floor. So I'm going to pull these apart, get them skinned. Then we'll get that piece skinned up. Then I'll get back over here, skin these up. And then I'm going to put the top floor section kind of all back together again. Draw out everything on it. Draw everything out on that over there. And start putting some detail on this, and hopefully this will look like a house. No! That's not what you want to come home to. After a long day of work out in the heat, that's what I got to deal with. My fault. I mean, I didn't have it really strapped down. It was only 8 foot up, whatever, and I just had some rocks in the back side of it, and it had been doing pretty good. But today, I guess it was a little bit windier than, you know, the whole other week. So we got to pull these panels back apart, take this off, separate these, because on both sides, same thing. These broke just through these finish nails. So broke that in the glue, too much weight. And I'll have to repair these on that panel, and the other 2 panels over there. And then I can get back to trying to make this look like a house. So, yay. Day in the life of trying to build a haunt. Look at this craziness. What an adventure it's been so far. It's now Saturday, late. And we're all skinned. So, you know, got all those pieces fixed. Starting to look like something. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucked that crap broke and I had to tear it down. But I had to take it apart anyway to frame the door out. Because when I did this, these were just 2 solid pieces, and I had to get this wood in here to frame this doorway out and all. So I was gonna have to tear all that stuff apart anyway, so whatever, Mother Nature, I was gonna tear it apart anyway, so tore it apart, fixed what you broke, and fixed the door. So we're good to go. I mean, how crazy does that look? Yeah, this is uneven right here, and this side's pitched up a little bit, but when it goes back on top of this, it should level out. And even if it is a little wonky, this is supposed to be an old decrepit house, which sweet. I need to get all this peeled off to expose the foam so I can start laying out my lines for my siding and do a little bit, just a little bit of carving in there to make it look like siding. So yeah, actually kind of excited. Get this stuff peeled off of here tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow I can get it all peeled off, get the siding all drawn out. Now all I got to do is start detailing it, which is finally the fun part, because I'm impatient. I've been wanting to start detailing this forever, and this whole situation with framing this junk out, it's been a pain, but we're almost there. Well, hello. It is hot out here. We're getting close to October, and this week is supposed to get back up to 100 and some odd degrees. It's insane for Kansas. But let me show you. You've seen, but let me explain. Pulling that layer of protection off exposes this foam, and that foam's got a cool old like kind of rotteny wood. I'm going to use I can't remember what this is, like a foam shore shaper or something like that, and I'm going to sand in just a little bit and create an indention below these. I tested it out on another piece that's off of this to see if it's going to work, and it's going to work pretty decent. I'm not going to dig in very deep because this is only a 1/2 inch thick, but just enough to give a little bit of a lip, and then I can paint and shade into it later. I'll show you things I'm worried about with this. This one's been exposed longer than the other ones, and it's warping, it's pulling out, and I think with the layer off of this, it lets moisture get in, and then it's bowing and all that stuff. So to be honest, I don't know how long it's going to last or how well it's going to work. I just hope it gets me through this Halloween, since I got this much time in it already. Yeah, probably if I was going to spend the money, should have went ahead and bought the pink foam, because I know how it handles in the weather. It doesn't do this stuff, but live and learn. We're going to go on and see what happens. So here we go. This thing's working. Yeah, look at this. We're getting some texture in these walls. I mean, that looks like siding. It's not super deep, and just enough, just enough to catch and give us an illusion of some siding. How about that? Of course, when I paint it and then go back in, I'll keep this dark under here, some more blacks or something like that. And in case anybody was wondering about these, I'm going to spray some great stuff, expendable foam on these, and then sand it back down, make all these little things disappear. If you guys enjoy this type of stuff, smash that like button, share it with other people. Right now I need to say thanks to all the Patreons that I have. It may not be a whole lot, but these people are pretty freaking awesome. Thank you for all your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys, just for watching, hanging out, watching me try something that I've never done before. And so far, I think it's going to work. And it should be kind of neat. Hopefully it'll last more than just 1 year. I'm so super stoked with this thing. It's coming along so good, so happy. So the bottom portion of the house, boom, all the siding's carved in. Over here on the top side of the house, yep. I mean, so pretty much all the siding is carved in. How sweet. That took a long time. That took a lot longer than I planned on it taking, but it's going to be worth it. Here's where we're at now. Now it's going to get like fun, like cool fun. We'll put some details in this thing. So we're at a point that windows get cut out, build trim for the windows, make side trim for all these corner pieces here, and that trim is going to be removable. Let me explain why. So when I put these walls together, I found it easier. I made these holes through here for the bolts to slide through to this side, so the wing nut was here, because I tried feeding it the other way with these walls and just having a little bit of room back here with my fingers. I had a real hard time trying to get this to start, so I wanted it to be easier to assemble. So I cut those holes. There's holes, you know, here in all three, on all panels, all the way around, so I can feed those bolts through the front side, make it easier to screw on the back side. Which means I'm going to be putting on basically 4-inch trim here and around on this side. All the side trim will be trim that I can remove and pull away. But anyway, enough talking. It's time for me to get to work. Here's the plan, or here's what I'm going to try to do. So I'm going to take one of each one and kind of trace out the inside portion of this, and then make a trim that's, I don't know, a couple inches long or whatever. And I'm probably going to have it overlap the inside just a little bit too, so I can clean up hide any rough cut edges or anything like that from cutting this out. Boom. Window trim cut out. Here's a little detail that I did. I'm not sure is really worth the time, but I am probably going to go ahead and do it on the door area since you're going to be up close to that. Stuff on the second floor, don't think I'm going to do this, and I don't think I'm going to do it on my side trim because that stuff's going to be removable. But I'll show you what I did. All right, so I took the brass shaper or whatever, and I went ahead and cut in a notch on the side here, so the siding kind of lays down into it. So kind of like this, you know, it's kind of how a house looks. I'm not really sure that little bit of detail right there is worth doing. You're probably not even going to notice it, and I can move this stuff along faster. And then I'm just going to use some great stuff, expandable foam in behind this. I'm going to pin it all in with some toothpicks and let that stuff dry up, and it should be good to go. Man, this day feels like it's just dragging on, and I'm not getting very far. Feels like, holy cow. I mean, it's October is in like 4 days, and I wanted this done by the 1st of October. Ain't happening. But so I don't want these windows. So I don't want these windows where you can see through them. Maybe next year I'll box it off because I don't have time right now to deal with this. So we need to make these look like windows, paint them, you know, yada yada. Just give it an illusion. So much closer. Boom, window in. Windows in, window in, window, and window. So now, right back, I can't do this. There, we're gonna work on, I'm gonna do the door trim. And I am going to do the whole sand on this thing because I didn't do that over there. And up high, you can't really tell. But when I really compare the difference between that window and the way those windows are put on, yeah, sanding that down makes that little bit of detail, it makes a difference. Then I'm gonna start cutting all of side trim, top trim, and I got to deal with these roofs. And after dealing with the roofs, oh my gosh, we'll start painting this thing, shove it out front. There's probably a good chance that there's an easier way to measure out this stuff. But I'll just show you how I did it. So as you saw, I laid the door on here, and then basically I traced the door out all the way through. And then I want my trim to kind of come over. The door's going to open to the inside. That's the plan. It better open to the inside. Anyway, I want it to open to the inside, so my trim's going to hang over, you know, a quarter inch or so, to that way the door would hide behind this trim. We don't see a gap in there. So anyway, pulled that off. We pulled the line, and then I wanted my trim to be about 5 inches wide, so that's what we marked off. And then for me to get the arch, I took the door and I pulled the door down about a quarter of an inch, so our measurement would be kind of close to the same here. And then measured from this one 5 inches all the way, and just kind of staggered that, like every inch or so made a mark, and then I just kind of free-handed the mark around. Now I'll just cut it out, and we got trim. So here's something I really didn't explain this to you on the window deal, because I really wasn't sure if I was really going to do it again. But like I said, we're doing it again. So what I did to, same thing with the windows, is I temporarily put this in place with toothpicks, foam through foam with toothpicks. Then I'm going to trace out around the door with my marker, so I've got an outside edge, an outline of this, and then I'll go in with this rasp and shave down. But that little bit of detail right there, that recesses that framing in. It actually makes it easier to glue. It's flat, you know. But it looks like, man, if you got an old house with wood siding like mine, go look at it. Look at the window trim, the door trim. It all was put on, and that siding butt up to it. So now, before some of you guys say, but Jay, wasn't the front of that in 2 panels that come apart so you can take this thing apart and store it and all that stuff? Weren't you preaching about how you were going to make it all removable? And didn't you just put this door trim, one solid piece, all the way up between 2 pieces? You'd be correct. I did do that. However, I did the same thing on the windows. Those windows and those windows, they separate between. So here's the plan. For this year, I'm moving this out in one piece and I'm moving that out in one piece. So I'm just going to leave those up. But when I go to take this apart, I'm going to come right in here on this seam. I'm going to take a razor blade and I'm going to cut at a 45, kind of like a 45-degree angle, right through this. Same thing on that side. So this will stay with the top half, this will stay with the bottom half, and hopefully by putting at an angle kind of down like this, when it slides back together next year, the seam won't be so noticeable. That's how that's how I'm dealing with it right now. So super close. Oh, super close to starting paint. The big trim is going to attach to here, and it'll stay attached to here. The 4-inch trim will be trim that's removable, comes off and on. I have to deal with the roof. I have to deal with the little roof over there on each side. So I think I'm going to carve into that to make some details in the roof. And then I'm going to make some little things that come off of here to go down there. They'll screw in, you know, quick, pop, pull on, pull off. But super close. All I have to do now is deal with these bits of trim, because the windows are on up front. Everything I need attached to this thing is just about attached to it. So here in the next few days, I should be able to start painting this thing. And once it's painted, I can move it around the front of the house and start really putting it together. You gotta see this. This is turning out so cool. Check that out. How sweet is that? So stick around because I'll show you how I did that. And let's talk about this roof thing real quick, just for a moment. I'll show you what I did. I'll tell you what I did. I just drew these out, then burned into it with soldering iron to get this stuff down in here, and then I used the rasp and thinned out these areas, kind of like what I did with the siding. It kind of gives this old lapped look, and I need to do it to the other one and the one on top, but that's exactly how I'm going to do it to the other two. We're getting close. Well, hi ho. Let me show you something else that I think is kind of cool, and it's easy to do. It's putting a wood grain on foam, or making foam look like weathered old wood. Let me show you what it looks like. So that right there, that is a pretty decent, that's a pretty decent weathered texture. That looks like wood. It looks like wood grain. I mean, so literally that really does look like wood grain, weathered wood grain. Pretty happy with it. I don't know how to read from far away, but up close it reads great. Let me show you. I'll show you how I did this. It's super. All you need is this right here. It's a little old wire brush. This takes no skill. This takes absolutely no talent, but it's super easy. Just taking brush, digging down in, and then pulling straight back. And it starts leaving you a texture like that. And then you can come back this direction too to make it even more rough. You know, you can work your ends over to where they really start to look weathered. However much you want to rake back and forth on this thing to create detail. Thought you guys might like that. Finally, we can start painting this thing. So I broke the top part all down because I had sprayed great stuff on some of these smaller ones. I needed to shave that off so it all match up. But while it's apart, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage so I can spray, you know, kind of the bottom sides of all this, and then start painting it, and then I'll flip it back up. But yeah, let's paint this thing. Look here. It's all based out in black. It's kind of cool looking. You know, it's something that kind of shone through or whatever. There's a part of me that's just like thinking that that could just stay black. But however, I'm not going to leave it black. So I think now I've got some white and I'm going to dry brush on some white onto it all over the place. Because, you know, them old houses, most of the time they're painted white and then they're decrepit or whatever. So I'm going to go with that and maybe doing some weathering on it too. I don't know. I'm running out of time. It took me all day yesterday to get all this stuff based in black and a little bit of this morning. So yeah, we're already into October now. I'm usually putting stuff up in the yard by now. And so far I'm not. Awesome things just seem to happen all the time. I had a bucket over here. I stepped on the bucket moved, and then boom, foot right through the wall, all the way through the wall. So I came around on this side, put another piece of foam, glued that into place, put some toothpicks, set it up. You know, that's good. And now I'll come back in on this side, and I'm going to put some black paint in all these areas down here, and then re-dry brush it and leave it as a broken piece of wood. So what felt like a catastrophic moment at one point in time, as it happened, just turn into a little more detail for this old rickety house. I went with a red color because I'm going to paint the door up front red too. So I thought red top, red door on the bottom. Cool, creepy, I don't know, whatever, different. But I'm so close to having this thing out front. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so cool. Look at this thing. This whole thing. This thing's coming along pretty sweet. I mean, by no means is this the best facade that's out there that anybody's ever made. Because there's plenty out there that have made way better quality stuff than what I'm doing. However, that looks pretty cool, you know. And I started this 4 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, something like that. Really moved along pretty quick. I'm putting the finishing details on this stuff here, and then I can move it outside and then put my door and all that stuff on. But a little while ago I was talking about these deals here. Don't know what to call them or whatever, but they're accents, whatever. But these I have to have them the whole thing. Here's the deal. I don't got much space around here either, so everything has to come apart and it has to be able to store. The only thing I really screwed up on is the roof. I should have made these panels even come apart and separate into 3 different pieces, and those little ones probably should have separated into 2 different pieces. But I didn't do that, so these are going to be a pain to store. But these are all removable, so I'll show you, you know, what I did so I can take these off, because I want all the panels, because this panel will be by itself, and I want it to lay against another panel, and I won't be able to do that. I got stuff like this stuck to it. So I took these and made these, painted them, and then I cut this off on the back side because I'm going to try to put some lighting in behind here. But anyway, I just drilled some holes. I measured all this stuff out and then drilled a couple holes so I can put, you know, this underneath, and I'm just screwing it in with some screws to hold it in place. That isn't the most technical way to do things, but it's gonna work. I just can't get over the way that looks. It's gonna be cool. All right, I'm gonna give another shout out to Hollywood Haunter, back when they built that crazy big awesome haunted house facade for the TV show, they put some lights and stuff up on the eaves and shine down on the house, which looked pretty cool. So I'm going to I'm basically doing the same idea. I'm going to put some lights up in there like I talked about. And what I did is I got these LED. This is a 12-foot light strip. And then they got these kind of neat connectors where you can cut and pin and go around corners or whatever. But these are pretty short. And so I'm wanting to do these on each section, right? So we've got the 2 lower sections and the higher section. All that stuff comes apart. So I'm going to play around with these because this isn't long enough to be able to separate those sections. So I'm going to cut these apart and see if I can use some stat wire to extend these and make it still work. This wasn't very expensive. I think it was like 20 bucks, something like that. So if I ruin them, whatever. But we're going to give it a try. All right. So, yeah, that worked. I was able to extend that wiring on that, and it works. So, here, I'll show you what I did. You know that there's a whole lot of me saying that over and over again. I'll show you what I did. I'll show you what I did. All right, so that LED track, it actually, here's one point it comes out, and then it runs along back here. I put this piece of trim up to glue the LED to it so it shines this way against this, and so hopefully it illuminates and you don't see the lights themselves. I kind of wanted to hide those. I did the same thing here. I did the same thing over there, and I think I'm leaving this black. I was going to do a little white on it too, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. So I'm probably gonna leave it like that. The painting's all done. I'm digging it, man. It looks really cool. I really like the way it's turned out. I blacked out the back side of this. I blacked out the back side of that. So all the paint's done. Yay. It is all up. Now we're going to move on to doing some more bracing. Threw these up kind of last night. I want to get some more higher up from there to the gables and there to the gables. But doing this though has been like, I did that so I could hang cloth from it, and it's pretty stout, so holds up pretty decent. So I'm going to do another one off of here to that side of the house and some more higher up, get this thing a little more stable. After we get the bracing done, then I'm going to get the trim that I made cut out, and we're going to get all the trim all the way up and down here. So enough talk. I need to get after it. Halloween's coming. Got all the trim up, so all that's done. Only thing left really is I need to put the door on. I ordered a little bell, like a little ding 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 ding, you can ring type bell that I'm going to put on there. For the kids to ring instead of a doorbell. And tomorrow I'm going to run and see if I can find some lights, some outdoor like house type lights, and maybe I can make a little decrepit or whatever, put in, you know, there and there, whatever, or maybe just one right above the door. I don't know, a little flicker bulb in it or whatever. Let's fix the door and find these other things and see if we can't get this finished up so I can work on the yard. This door here, I made this door like, I don't know, 2 years ago, something like that. I made this door out of foam, and I tried to hinge it back then. The glue I used was kept melting into this, and Then it fell off a couple times, especially on Halloween night, because it was a little, some people a little too rough. So I'm going to kind of cheat this thing. I took one of those 1x2s and I ripped it down, and I'm going to, on front and back, just put a piece of 1x2 and then screw it through and hold it in place. And then I'm going to put my little hinges on these, and I'll paint this black or something so you don't quite see it. But this is how I'm going to set up the door for its hinges. Well, I went to Home Depot to pick up a couple things. I wanted to add some lights to the front of this thing, and I need some little hinges for the door, you know, that type of stuff. So when I was in there, I found these little jar lights, which were cheap. They were like less than $8. So I was like, perfect, well, that'll work. So they come out, you know, look like this. Little jar goes on the top. I was like, yeah, I can just spray paint that dingy or whatever, and then go from there. And I bought some of these flame effect lights. I know this isn't like inside a pumpkin or whatever, but I just think the rolling flame look cool. So I bought a couple of these. And of course they screw into here, which is all good, but here's the problem. The jar is not deep enough. So I can't use this. But I wound up making this, and I'll show you how I did it. And it'll hang up in here just like this. It's not the prettiest, coolest looking thing, but it'll get the point across. Let me show you how I did this. Yes! I just so happen to have some pretzel cans laying around because I always tell everybody in the house to keep them because they can always be used for some kind of project. The thing I noticed is that the top of the pretzel can has this little lip right around it. And the inside of this, that's how that jar was held on. These little screws went in and they go underneath the lip and hold it on. Just like any cheap light fixture you ever see out there. So I thought, well, I can use that. So this is what I did. I took a Pringles can, I cut it down, I wrapped some tape around it to mark it off, and then I just took a Dremel and not even really trying to stay in the lines, just wrap, cut this thing out and paint it black. Yeah, for a couple Pringles cans, those don't look too shabby, especially back from the road. Look at that. Super fast, quick fix on something that I bought that didn't quite work right. Little Pringles can, little black paint, boom, we got a light. It'll last through Halloween. That's all I need. All right, so we got a door on here. Really, I just threw some cheap hinges on inside there, and yeah, the wind's like doo, 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 pushing this thing all around in and out. So for the time being, I came in here and I added another block of wood to the back of the door, put this on so you just swing it in place. Do the same thing down here, keep these from flopping back and forth, and just, yeah, some cheap little hinges. So lights and door. The lights up top work. Now I'm going to call the facade work done, right? Done. This will be done. And I can work on other stuff like hiding the house and decorating finally, because I need to fill all of this space up out here. Got to get to decorating. I got this little guy. He's all by himself out here. He wants some buddies. You know, we'll get you some buddies here pretty soon. I am freaking happy with this. So she's up. We got the house kind of blocked off or blacked out, trying to hide the house. As far as I'm concerned, She's done. So this is set. Now I can start working on the yard, which is what I'm going to do right now. Fence is up. I started filming it for you guys to watch it go up in time lapse, but then something caught my attention somewhere else, got busy and got back to it, and before you knew it, I didn't film it, but it's up. Not looking too shabby. I'm digging it. It's gonna be fun. This is it for now. Facade's up, fence is done, house is blocked off, all that stuff is set. So now finally I can start filling the yard with props. So that will be what I'll hit after it a little bit this week, and then next weekend I'll film that for you guys if you want to see the yard set up and when it's all finished up and done. All you guys that have come along the way, I appreciate it. Watching the comments has been great. It's been a fun build, but literally look at that thing. 3.5 weeks, right? Something like that. 3.5 weeks and we got this crazy thing put together. Pretty happy with the way that thing turned out. It's officially September of the 3rd, so really zero time to do anything, you know, big, but let's do it anyway. And what's big, you might ask? Well, we're gonna take the facade that we did last year and we're gonna make it bigger for this year. We're gonna try to cover 90% of the front of the house with the facade. So we have some furring strips sitting here, and I don't know if you can see inside over there, but we got some more that old foam stuff that I didn't like, but since I did it with the other part, we're gonna use the same crap, so it all looks the same. Oh, and since Halloween's right around the corner, and this is gonna be such a big project, in order to bring you guys some consistent footage, this is gonna be like a weekly update type of situation, and you're gonna get to see, you know, follow me in this process, and you'll get to see updates every week of how it's coming along. So I know that you have no time to watch anything else, and this is the most exciting thing to watch. So yeah, let's watch it, but let's get to building this thing. The very first thing I did was cut all these furring strips into their proper lengths, and then I took each side piece and kind of pre-drilled and made countersinks into these things. That way, when I'm putting them all together and we're screwing screws through here, it won't split the wood. Made it much faster, much easier to assemble. Then the first set of panels that I'm going to make here are a 4x6 size panel, and we're going to wind up needing 4 of these. And then the next set of panels we're going to create are a set of 4x8, and we're going to need 3 of these big bad boys. Then after that, we need to create a couple more panels that are 2 by 8 foot long, and we're only going to use 2 of these. And then the last size panels we're going to make here are 4x4, and we're going to need 3 of these bad boys. So let me explain a little bit of this idea on, you know, the changes to the facade. Anyway, I want it to come out and then come off the old facade and then come whatever. If you're looking at it to the right, we're extending the facade that way and make like a bay window thing, like them, you know, those old spooky houses. They have a window comes out like a 45 and a 40, you know, 45 flattens out, and they got these bay windows in the front, just kind of a spooky look. So that's the whole deal. Let me interrupt this real quick to give you a word from our sponsor for this video, which is Patron, and 2 locals around here. I want to say thank you to all those patrons who are there committing $2 or $5 a month to help support this channel. And the two locals that he just recently, which was Les Olson and Stephen Austin, they donated some funds to this. Without the support from Patreon and those patrons there, this whole project this year would not exist. This wouldn't be even able, I wouldn't even be able to think about it this year. So it's those guys that have brought this video to you, and the next, whatever it is, 2 or 3 videos that we're going to do to put this new facade together and kind of show you how it was built. Give those guys a big round of applause, because they're the ones that directly affected this to be able to happen. So let's get back to building this thing. We got all these things made. We had some 4x6 panels that we made, and I had 4x8 panels, and those are going to be the main uprights as far as this bay window area. And then I made some 2x8 panels for that, and then I also made some 4x4 panels and a couple other 2x4 panels that'll go on top of the 8-foot section to make that 12-foot tall there. So, you know, the facade, the center of the facade is 14-foot tall, then it steps down to 12-foot tall, then we're dropping it down to 8-foot with a roof, you know, and then we're going to come back up to 12-foot with a roof over here on this other side. Give some height changes and dimensions that might look cool. Anyway, this piece of wood that I cut off at, this is a 22.5-degree angle on each side. So basically, here's one of these 4x4 sections. Connected to one side, and then when the other one butts up against this, we're making that 22.5-degree angle makes a 45. So when I put the next one onto this, it'll be a 45-degree angle. So we'll have a front 45 and then a 45. That's what these are for. They'll be secured like on this one. I got one on this side, one on the other side over here that's going to be permanently secured to this. When everything sets up, I'll screw through from the front and the outside to the next one to secure that together. And that way, when I take it apart, I can come in from the front side and just unscrew these screws here and pull them apart. This isn't the, may not be the best way to do it. The whole point is everything has to come apart so I can store it. I don't have enough room, so everything's got to be torn apart to store. This is kind of what I came up with. It's going to work for this year. Maybe if I have to rechange this, because after screwing in and out so many times, that's going to become a problem. So I'm going to have to figure out a better way to latch them. That's an easier removable latch type situation. But this is what we're doing right now. But anyway, I got to get these on. So I just want to stop real quick, show you what I did. Now I'm attaching them to these things, and then I can move on and kind of start putting it together roughly so I can put all my attach points on it. Yeah, back to montage stuff. Here's the 4x6 panels. The other two are going to go on the other side. I haven't connected them together yet. Then we got a little 2x8 panel there. Then the 4x8 panel, you know, here. Then another one here. Another one here. Pretty much, I set the panels on top of each other and drilled through, and then secured them with bolts, right, to hold those together. Then on the edge of this panel, I went ahead and installed another piece of this 1x, screwed in through here. That way I could bolt through and attach this big 2x8 panel. So then it's got another, well, 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts on it to hold that together, right? So that all works. Now here's the thing. The tricky part of this whole deal, right, is this bay window area. And like I said earlier, I cut those slots I cut a piece of wood at 22.5 degrees on each side. What that has allowed me to do, here's the piece, right? So I was able to connect these two together, which puts a 45-degree angle, and then shoots this piece out this way. Let me connect here again with another 45, which makes this flat across the front, right? and then we hit another 45-degree, and then another one, and we're shooting flat out that way. So how I'm doing this because all this has to break down, right? Everything, like I think I've said before, it has to break down to store. I don't have a boatload of room, and I don't have a storage facility to put this stuff in. So it all has to break apart. So what I've done is, like, I think I showed you before, this piece right now, and the centerpiece, is permanently attached to this one right here. Then I brought this one up, and from the outside, ran a screw into here. And I did that. I did several screws all the way down from the outside. So when I put the siding on, so this will be skinned and that'll be skinned, but this is going to be open. And that'll allow me access to these screws to screw this in and hold these pieces together. And then I'll cover that with some fake wood trim later on. So it allows me to be able to hide that, kind of get it together. But yeah, this has been interesting for me to figure out how to do these whole 45s and make it pull apart and all that crazy stuff. So hopefully it just works for this year. That's all I want, right? That's what I say last year. I only wanted that thing to work for last year, and it's made it through. I got some repairs. I still got to repair that. Man, we're getting close. I got to get all this done. I still got a 4-foot section on top I got to do, plus all the roofs. I got to quit talking and get back to working. Well, hey, what's up? Yeah, look at that. There's some foam. Stick around. I'll show you how I did it. Plus, you know, more stuff. In order to secure the foam board to the frame, I first lay down a bead of liquid nails.
Liquid nails? What the heck is that? I don't see any liquid or nails.
Man, it's a construction adhesive you apply with a caulking gun.
A what gun? Did you just say...
Dude, I'm not even going there with you.
Hey, I'm not the one talking dirty.
Then lay down your foam board, pre-drill out some holes, and nail it into place.
Nail it into place? I thought you just rubbed your liquid nail goo all over it with your...
Dude, yes, nails. Plastic cap nails.
Hey, man. Looks like you smashed those down a little too far.
No, I did that on purpose.
Wait, why?
So I can hide them later with some spray foam.
Dude, that's a smart idea.
I know, right? Now once this is all nailed into place, just go around the edges and trim it all up. Oh, right, so it's like, well, it's been a day or whatever, but put all the panels together. As you can see, all the panels now have skin, and then the little short ones are all now skinned. So good. Yay. That's a big bulk of some of this done. It's towards the end of the day. I'm gonna call it quits for the day, but you're gonna see here just like shortly the next step of the process. So you know what, I'm gonna go relax, but why don't you guys watch me take this stuff off tomorrow in the future, like right now. Let me interrupt this one so we can talk about today's sponsor, which once again is Patreon. Because if it wasn't for Patreon and that continued support, this whole thing, this would not exist. And I want to give a big shout out to the newest patron out there, which is 228 Maple. Different name, odd, sounds like an address, but it's the name. 228 Maple, thank you for joining Patreon.
You see, with a donation as little as $2 a month or $5 a month, you could bring a spooky Halloween to a child in need.
Go to Patreon, link below, back to the bill.
So what are you doing?
I'm pulling the foil backing off.
Why? Hey, look, it's a kitty.
So I can expose the foam underneath.
Why do you need to expose the foam?
Because we'll be carving the foam to look like siding.
Oh, cool. Hey, where'd that cat go?
Well, while you're out chasing the cat, I got all the foil off.
Well, sir, I don't know if you noticed or not, but you missed some spots.
Yeah, I know, it's okay. Later on, it'll just look like old paint flaking off the house.
Hey, man, I can't find that cat. What are you doing?
Laying out a pattern, see?
Dude, could you speed this up? I'm ready to carve some foam.
So this foam board's kind of a pain, but it's great texture for old rotten wood.
Cool. So we get to start carving now?
Nope.
Nope. What do you mean, nope?
Now we need to lay out where the windows go.
Okay, awesome. Look, you got all the windows laid out now we can carve some foam, right?
Nope.
No? What the heck do you mean no? All the windows are there. Let's carve.
If you want to see this thing carved as much as he wants to see this thing carved, then tune in next week. I'll show you how I did it, and you get an update on what it looks like. Let's get to shaping this thing into a house. To start shaping out the siding, I used a Sure Foam shaver to shave down the foam just underneath each line that we marked out in the last video. Now remember, we only have a 1/2 inch of material here, so I wouldn't go any deeper than 1/4 of an inch.
Hey, man. Are you finally carving that foam?
Yup.
Dude, it's crazy how fast you are at this. It's like you're superhuman.
Well, man, Halloween's right around the corner, and I've got to get this done.
Big old jelly belly superhuman carver with a beard? Hey, are you Santa?
No, dude, I'm not.
Whoa, look at that, man. That really looks like siding. Man, I'm pretty sure you're Santa. I mean, you got a white beard, you're big and round, you make cool things with your hands.
Dude, I'm not Santa. But you know, thanks for letting me know that I'm old and fat. Got the foam all carved out, so that looks pretty decent. We're looking like siding on the big one over there. We're looking like siding on, this is the small piece on the top over here. So basically, this stuff right there was all a bunch of math
Don't lie.
and stuff.
It wasn't math, it was magic.
So, what we did, I cut these are 9 inches across here. And then this is the 22.5 degree angle, just like we did the other pieces. By cutting that off at 9 inches and then running a piece of furring strip to the back here, that leaves me like 5.5 overhang. And I think the original ones were just almost 5.5. So this is just, I think it's like 1/4 of an inch or two, you know, about 1/4 of an inch longer, but you're never gonna know. No one's gonna know. No one's gonna look that close. But anyway, we are 9 inches wide. This is 2 foot. Then we've got our 22.5 cut in here. Then this is actually, I first cut these here. I first cut that stuff at like a full 4 foot on the back here, a full 48 inches, and then the 22 and 0.5 degrees north, south, east, west degree of an angle for the cut for the 45.
Hey, where the hell?
48 inches was too long. It wasn't working. It was buttoned up back here in the back. So I had to trim them down. Unfortunately, I didn't measure them. I can measure these later and let you know what the actual length is on the back side. I just threw them up and kind of brought them down until they fit properly. But this is the top side of our roof overhang thing deal. So now I've got to come up with the rest of this stuff here. In that area needs to be look like, you know, a roof with a pitch back to it. So we got to work on that, and that's what we're going to do next.
Well, hey there, big boy. What you doing?
Well, I'm making some supports.
Why don't you have your elves give you some support and let them make the supports?
Elves? What? Because I'm not Santa. Look, man, Santa makes Christmas, not Halloween. Well, hey, let me interrupt this build once again so I can thank the sponsor of this build. It hasn't changed. It's still all those amazing people over there at Patreon. Give these guys that are scrolling right through here a round of applause, because it's because of them and their support, like I've said, that this is even happening. Without that support, this wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be having these fun videos. First, let me say I'm sorry because I failed to do this earlier, so I'm going to lump all these guys together and just give a big shout out for everybody so far that's joined Patreon in September so far. First up, we got Debbie Belden. Then once again, we have 228 Maple. Then we have Rosalie Navas Smith. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. And then Ronelli Jones. I know I butchered that one, but I want to thank all you guys for joining up in September. If you enjoy the content on this channel and you would like to help support to keep this channel moving and going forward, consider going to Patreon and joining up over there and meet these amazing people that are already there. Say hi. They're a great group of people. So sign up today, links in the description. Let's get back to the build. Welcome to the whole house octagon thing that has turned into a total pain in the rear. I mean, this shape has created way more problems than I thought. For me, of course, I'm not a house builder, so
No, you're Santa.
It is what it is. But like where I messed up last year is on the roof sections, especially the top roof. I should have built that to where it came apart into like 5 different pieces to be stored. I didn't do that. That made that a super pain to store. Actually, it's sitting outside. It got attacked by cats. It kind of broke, you know, when I dropped it, taking it apart last year. It got broke some more.
Just fix it with magic.
I don't even know if I'm going to repair the brake or if I'm just going to leave the brake in the top of the roof and stick a skeleton or something on the top of it and say, hey, it's a old, spooky, broke down house. We'll see how much time I've got once this is done. So let me show you what's going on with this here. So essentially we got 5 pieces, a 2-foot and these 4-footers that come all the way around. These are all bolted in through the frame on the bottom side so they can lay down and be bolted on and bolted back off, taken back off. However, I was cheap and I bought this thin stuff. This was even thinner than the original thing. So last night this got rained on and it warped like crazy. So then to fix that, to come in between, these are basically like a 2-inch section, right? So I built these kind of in sections. This stops here where I can screw these things down and get this end point, which is what really warped the worst, kind of screwed up together. So the plan is this piece right here will stay attached to this, and eventually I'm going to make a bolt point right here and maybe just some kind of a countersink recess deal that I can just screw with a bolt into, right? Kind of like a IKEA setup or something. So this piece will stay on here. This spacer piece will stay on this main piece. And then this front piece, same thing. I've got one that overlaps here. And then we got another one that overlaps here. This piece will stay with this. And eventually this will have bolts that can come in and out. So this piece will come off, slide back on top, bolt to this one, and then we're going to redo, basically we're doing the same thing here as the other side. That stays with this last piece, this slides over here, and this is just kind of a spacer piece on this one. That way all these can come off. That way it can be completely torn apart and completely stored and I don't have to worry about it sitting outside or whatever, something like that. I can get it all tucked away. But this has been a real pain in the booty, your booty hooty woody, to figure out how to do all this so it comes apart. Once we get past this section right here, be able to move to just trimming the windows and like that, and then we'll get to painting. So a lot closer, a lot of work left to do.
Honestly, man, just let the elves build this part. You don't have to work so hard. Your secret is safe with me.
Oh my gosh. How many times do I have to tell you I am not Santa? Look there. There's some going-ons in that area over there. This is the framing for the roof area for the shingles. All done, and it all removes. This is 16 inches tall. I ran a 1x across here. Then we drilled through. I had to recess these down, so we've got mounting points for bolts here, mounting point for bolt here in the center, and one in here. That all comes down underneath. I'm gonna have to grind these off, but that all comes underneath bolts here. Also, these plates up here, Don't really know if I told you, but I have these bolt through, and those bolt through the actual panel here, so they bolt through to here. And then I've got a couple braces that I've put between all these, just from this one that gives support in between to make it a little more rigid. Yeah, they're screwed in. Maybe I can come up with another way, or maybe one of you guys can come up with a better way to support these things together. Because last time when I had a little bit of an issue on these 45s, Lupin sent me this right here. And as you can see, this diagram is absolutely awesome and amazing. So he came up with this this idea here to allow me to bolt through on those 45s, to come through on the inside and bolt, so I can bolt those together, so to do how I'm doing with the screws. I already had put the foam insulation on by the time he got that to me, so I didn't really have room to drill through. And I don't know, once this is over, this year's over, I might cut some squares out in those areas and go ahead and drill through, so I can do that idea and make that work. We'll see. I wish I would have got a hold of that beforehand, because how awesome is that? I mean, I don't know if Lupin's an engineer or whatever, but that's pretty freaking sweet. It was easy to read. It was a great concept. It would have been perfect had I not already had this stuff set up. So pretty much there's 5 total pieces to get all the way around this thing, and then each piece breaks down into 2 other pieces. So it breaks down into 10 pieces, right? But everything can get broke apart. It can all get stacked, laid up against the wall, and stored. Nothing has to set outside, which is a great thing.
Hey there,
Don't even say it.
Gandalf the Grey.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh, what you doing?
If you must know, I'm laying out the pattern for the shingles.
Oh, cool. Is that like your magic wand?
What? Magic? No, dude, it's just a marker. It's just a marker. I am not Gandalf the Grey.
Gandalf the White?
I swear if you don't stop with all this, I'm gonna wring your neck.
Okay, jeez. What are you doing with that thing that's definitely not an electric-powered magic wand?
It's a Dremel tool, and I'm outlining the shingles with it.
And why exactly are you doing that?
So I can take this foam shaper tool here and basically shave down the edges to meet up with the area that I had dremeled out. It creates this nice slope look to the shingles. Now we got all this shaped up into place, and I went back with the Dremel tool and took the guard off, and just by hand went back in and put all these little holes or all these little lines back in, because as we scrape that down, those basically disappeared. So I want to get that separation. Gotta be real careful. I mean, some of these might have gone a little too deep. There's only a 1/2 inch of material, you know, right here to play with, so you don't want to go too far. Some of them I may have gotten too far, but I think it'll be okay. I want to give this some extra texture, so I'm just going to take a what is this? A wire brush, and we're going to drag down over the tops of this. You can really see now that wire brush really adds a bunch of texture, and the more you kind of pull down on the edge, tears these up, really kind of gives this an old weathered look, like these old shingles, like if they're a wood shingle or whatever, but they've been sitting on this house for a long time through years of rain and decay. That really adds a little extra. You know, they're probably not going to see that stuff from the road or even the yard or even the door, because it's going to be up 8 foot or 12 foot in the air. But I know it's there, and you know it's there, and now you know how to do some texturing on foam. There's a million other ways, but this is just one way, so there we go. Now that we got the siding all carved up and we got the roof section all detailed out on this area, we can move on to doing window trim and cutting out the trim for the sides and all that good stuff. So we can get started on that next week.
You making something from nothing.
I got it. You're Krampus.
Window trim, details, and paint. Stick around and I'll show you how it was done. So here I just marked off 2 inches, Here's the kind of the window blank that it was all based off of. Tracing this out to a center point right here, and I'm going to come back out 2 inches. Make it so basically I'm going to be making a pattern with this. Doing it this way with cutting these patterns, I should be able to get all of them, the big ones, in this one sheet, and probably some of the littler ones on this sheet too. We'll just see how it goes.
Well, hey there, big boy. What you doing?
Well, I was just showing all these people how I was laying out the pattern for...
Dude, sweet, man. You're making hockey sticks? Oh, that's so awesome. I always wanted to learn how to...
No, man. These are the patterns for the window trim for the facade.
Oh, yeah, the facade. The facade, that's right. Hey, you know Halloween's just right around the corner.
Yeah, man, I know.
Well, then why the heck are you wasting time talking to me? You better get to work.
Get over here. Man, I'm gonna show you work.
Oh, hey, wait, what are you doing? Hey, don't touch me there. Leave me alone.
We got all the trim cut up for all the different size windows. So now I'm just gonna kind of tap them into place with some toothpicks to make sure they're gonna set right. I'm gonna glue them into place with some expandable foam. To set the window trim, the first thing I did was attach it all to the facade just using toothpicks. This way I could adjust each one as needed. And once they're all lined up, I'll pull each one of them off one at a time, add some spray foam, and put them back into place.
Dude, hey, man, those windows are looking really good.
Thanks, man. I'm trying my best.
Hey, how are you sticking those little pieces on?
Well, for these smaller pieces, I'm just using liquid nails to put them into place.
Oh, yeah. The nail it till you spooge it glue.
What?
Nothing.
We were doing so good. Windows were going up. That trim was going up. And if you'll notice, half the facade isn't connected over there anymore. That's because I came home and found this.
What the hell? Who did this?
I don't know. I don't know if Mother Nature did it. I don't know if someone ran up here in the yard to be a jackleg
Jacklegs.
and tore it
Let
down.
me at him.
I don't know. I've never had problems with that before, but it literally broke. Well, here, let me show you. So I had on the end of this, I had 2 of these 1x off on each side to create a holding structure to hold that up and hold it straight. And it literally broke the end of that off there. I've already separated this. This was flipped over frontwards. It would have really taken a pretty good gust of wind right now, because with this top on here, that's actually really heavy. And it did happen to break that in there. I'm not pulling this whole thing apart to fix that. I'm probably just gonna run some screws and things through that for now to kind of hold that into place, so I don't have to backtrack that far with this. However, on this piece here, it screwed a lot of stuff up. 4x6 panel on the bottom is pretty good. 4x6 panel on top, not so good. I just glued that to there. I didn't want to cut. I could cut that right there and break that seam so that those 2 pieces would come out. That's what I did last year at the end of the year, but I don't want to do that. But let me tell you, let me show you it. Whatever happened, I mean, it even broke. It just snapped this in half. So that didn't have a bunch of cracks in it. It's pretty decent. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if someone come up in here and did it, I don't know why they would do it. I really haven't seen much of there hasn't been much of a breeze. I got cats, but I mean,
Yeah, hey, you on the bike.
to break the wood and everything,
Talking to you. Hey, come here. I got some questions for you, man.
I don't know. So we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna fix this. We're gonna fix this and continue on.
Well, that kid on the bike was no help. Just kept saying something like, I'm gonna tell my mom, something like that.
Dude, what did you do?
What? Me? I didn't do nothing.
a little bit of elbow grease, I guess, if you want to call it that, and determination, whatever. Crisis averted. You can still see like a bit of a crack, but whatever. I went ahead and dug down into this to make the crack kind of go further down the wall. So maybe it all just looks further down the wall. I'm gonna have to throw some, some spray foam over these to hide these. But we're back to wall again. You guys might not care at all of what I did to fix all this stuff. I'm going to show you anyway. Scabbed a piece of board in there on that broken one. You guys saw that. Then I ran another board on here, scabbed that in. That was real close to the break. But then took another piece of foam, sprayed a bunch of foam insulation on it, expandable foam, pressed it in there and screwed it into place. I'm going to pull those screws out later to back that up so that it won't flop and break apart. And then all this stuff here that was tweaked out, you saw pre-drilled and drilled back through and made that stuff nice and tight again. That's back together so that can be painted. The big one over here, it's fixed so it can be painted. So we can go on, right? Gotta go on. We gotta get all this stuff finished up so you can put this whole thing up, and it's almost October. So windows, trim, that stuff's up all the way around, even on the old little one over here. And if you see, I got some pink foam up there. That's going to be the trim. So I'm working on the trim boards that are going to go up, and the big ones that kind of go across the top. I covered this last year, but you know what? Not all of you watch all the way through the videos and see all the cool tricks. So we're going to do it again. I'm going to show you a super easy way to turn that pink foam into old weathered wood. This is so easy. Just take a wire brush and pull it along your foam piece. It's going to create a light graining effect. Now then, if you change the angle, apply more pressure, you'll get a more aggressive graining. And if you work the whole piece of foam from one end to the other, using each one of these techniques, you're going to wind up with a piece of foam that really looks like a real worn out piece of wood. Moving on from the trim work, we need to clean up the facade just a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is take care of these balls of foam.
Balls! yeah, I bet you're gonna take care of your balls.
Yeah, man, we need to cut them off.
What? You're gonna cut off your balls?
What? No, dude. We're going to cut off this excess foam that we sprayed on here to hide those little orange plastic deals.
Okay, holy cow. I thought you lost your mind there for a moment. You know, I've got to give you credit. That really does a pretty good job of hiding those little plastic pieces.
Basically, all this stuff cleaned up pretty decent. Yeah, you can see this here. But when I paint that, you know, when we paint that black, get some white dry brush over it, it will go away more. Is putting, you know, spray foam in there the best thing to do? No, because the foams aren't the exact same kind of foam. So there is some inconsistency in it, but at least it just gets rid of that big old orange thing. Because even painting that, you still got this big round weird orange plastic deal in there, and this stuff hides it a little bit. Now what we're going to deal with is we're doing a little piece of roofing across here, but it's not going to be the same way. We're going to have our overhang come out of here, but we're not going to do shingles. We're going to do some wrought iron looking stuff on this as if it's a flat roof that you could stand on.
Hey, is that wood?
Yes it is.
A big piece of wood?
Yeah, I guess.
So technically, we can say you're holding a big wood in your hand? Oh my god! Wood hand! Oh, I cracked myself up.
The first thing I need to do is install this 1x2 at 9 inches from the side so we can create a backstop.
Dude.
What?
You're grinding your wood.
Actually, I'm cutting off the screws flush so they don't poke me when I install it.
Dude, really? You don't want to get poked by your wood when you're installing it? Really, man, again? Only top quality filming done right here at Unhinged Productions. What are you trying to say in supersonic speed that we can't hear?
Well, I was trying to explain that I got this fake wrought iron stuff at Home Depot. My plan was to cut the tabs off on the bottom and then screw them to this little 2-inch piece right here.
Man, are you aware of the amount of OSHA violations you commit in one day?
Hey, I'm not standing on the top step, so we're all good.
See, now you're learning. Put the ladder on the back side, keep the camera on the front side, then no one knows how you're standing on the ladder.
I'm going to have to say I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out up there. That looks pretty good. So that's done. All of our trim's done. All of our little holes are taken care of. Only one thing left to do is to go ahead and once again, I'd like to take time right here to thank all those patrons that are out there. Their support is the only reason that this thing was possible this year. You guys are amazing, and really, I can't thank you enough. Let me interrupt the program for a moment of silence
Dude, what happened?
for something that's been here
Yo, I'm right here.
through the years, supporting me in many ways, from working on Halloween things,
Am I dead?
painting various stuff, helping out with automotive needs
Wait, what?
and home repair. Today, I lost my faithful air tank companion.
Oh, thank God.
He gave his last
I thought I was dead and I didn't know.
bit he gave his last bit of life today as we blacked out the base color on our facade extension.
Yeah, because your working conditions are terrible.
We almost made it all the way around, but we didn't. But at least we got the front side done in black, so now we can move on to the dry brush of this thing white.
Really? That's it? That's all you're gonna say? So if I were to croak tomorrow, is this all that you would be saying about me as well?
Dude, it's just an air compressor. And if you croak tomorrow, I throw a party.
What? Not cool, man. Not cool.
And I'm just joking. Well, what do you think?
Man, I've gotta admit, that's looking amazing.
Paint's done, trim's basically done, or trim is done. Even the trim on the ground over there, the trim's gonna go on those pieces right there, you know, in that area right there. It's all painted up and ready to go. I am gonna have to come back and hit some black spots in these windows where I got some white on them or whatever. Do a little touch up. I got a little black underneath, you know, the top rail, that type of stuff. But the painting's done. So now we build.
You're making something from nothing.
And it was at this moment he knew.
All right, we got to deal with this mess. I didn't show you guys before. Obviously, you can see cats been scratching this thing like crazy. We got to deal with that. And then we had this spot here broke out right here. I've already pre-done some fake boards, and I'm going to go in from the back side and just make it look like the roof kind of fell apart. We're going to be fixed, ready to go.
What's up there, sunshine?
Really? Don't you ever go away?
What? And risk a chance of missing something crazy happening?
And the only thing crazy around here is you.
Fair enough. So what are you working on today?
Well, this is the roof off the facade from the build last year. As you can see, it's acquired some damage, so I'm doing some quick repairs to it.
Repairs? You call that a repair? Man, where's Santa at? He was better at fixing things.
Whatever. I'm just leaning into this broken piece and using it to my advantage. I'm going to throw some fake wood panels on here and make it look as if this was designed this way from the beginning.
Hey, Santa isn't gone. You're still here, because that's a great idea. Hey, why is your beard shorter? Are you trying to hide your identity?
So that's all painted up. I put those boards in there. pretty happy with the way it looks. You know, it was broken. Now it almost looks better than what it did last year. So now I gotta drag all this stuff out so we can start setting all this stuff up. Get this thing going.
You know, you really need to let the elves do this.
Dude, we're not doing this again. Not Santa. Let's talk about my madness as far as my thinking when I took the original facade down last year and how to actually get it back up this year. Everything's numbered, right? What could go wrong? It should be an easy build. This is going to be the what? The true testimony of if this is really going to work as far as a pulling together type thing and then putting back up and it still look right. And I'll show you why I'm talking about that. Because when I put the facade together where we have windows, even on the other pieces, those windows were in between these 4x6 panels, right? So I had to come back when I took this apart and I had to slice this with a razor, okay? So these separate. Now, my hope is that when these pieces go back together again, that my cut was actually good enough when that bolts together, that all those line up good enough and small enough and tight enough that it tricks your eye and you still think it's one piece.
Okay, step 1, set in the grass. Step 2, set in the grass again.
I don't see you out here trying to help.
That's because I'm busy.
Busy doing what exactly?
Searching for your reindeer. Your reindeer. Oh, that's rich.
Well, good luck with that. I've got to get this centerpiece together so we can start getting this facade up.
Hey, man, don't you think you need more help or maybe even a rope?
It'll be fine. Just watch.
Holy sh! Did you see that?
What do you think?
Hey there, editor. Hey, can we get an instant replay on that? First off, it was right about here when I told you that I thought you needed some more help. But no, big man can't listen to me. Look, right there, that board broke. That's why it fell. Ouch. Well, you know, at least the windows look good.
Get over here.
Help! Help!
Stand still.
Well, man, what are you gonna do?
We're going to fix it and we're going to get it set up.
And you say I'm the crazy one.
This has been a rough one this year so far, but it's up. It's back together. It's fixed. Whew, that was super disheartening when that happened. But once again, we overcome and we're there. When we went to raise it again, yeah, I thought I hit record on this, but it was late. I was still a little discombobulated from everything that happened and realized that after we got it up and done and went back to look, didn't hit record, but we did get it up. So yeah, we're good to go. But what had happened was this main board right down here on the bottom, and I'm dumb for not, there's a lot of stress on that point right there, is where, even though this thing is light, there's a lot of stress on that. That broke, and when that broke, with all this being apart, it just twisted and we lost it and it fell. So second time around, there's an eye hook I put in my house. I'll probably change that, flip that around so you can't see it later. I went ahead and put a couple holes in there. We attached some rope to that. And then that just allowed some tension points up there to be pulled from, and it made it go up easier. So one of the things I'm going to do that I was just thinking about this morning is on this bottom piece right here, because that's 6 foot by 2 foot or whatever. I think I'm going to, in the future, go buy some good plywood, and I'm going to cut a 6x2 or maybe a 6x2.5 or whatever, just to have a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit of a lip coming out past the front, but I'm going to make a plywood base that once it all goes together, I can bolt to the bottom of that and allow that entire plywood base hold that like stress from bringing that up. So anyway, We're up. Now I'm running late. I gotta get all this other stuff done.
You know, making a facade that comes apart and goes together like a Lego set, that's a pretty good idea.
Well, so far it's worked out fairly well.
Look at that. You got it up without breaking anything.
Yeah, right? It's kind of surprising at this point.
See, look at that. Things go so much better when you have some help.
It was totally worth it. Patron, everybody at Patreon, you guys rock. You're the reason that whole thing exists there. What a test of, I guess, patience and determination, because this thing was a fight. It fought all the way. Man, when we dropped that center part and that fell and busted all that up, I was devastated during that point in time. I mean, just, you know, but got past it. Really, honestly, I have to thank my wife and daughter, because especially Carrie, because she was just like, hey, it's not that bad. You can fix it. We can get it done. And so that helped change attitude. And then I was like, all right, we can do this. We can get it. We can get it done. We can get it up. We can still get this part up tonight. And we did. We repaired that one middle piece there, and we got that middle piece up that same night. All right, so at this moment, this is not completely done. I still gotta, of course, I gotta put the door in over there, and I got lights and stuff to put on. But I have trim pieces that go over this to cover that. Trim pieces for each corner from last year for those. Trim pieces here. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that stuff out real fast, get that done. Oh, and as well, see up here? See if I can focus in up there. Woo, too far away. Let's go in. See those? Well, I made those for this area, and I wasn't too worried about that. That's 8 foot tall. But I also made them for way up there, and I forgot to put them on. Very, very soon, I've got to climb way up a ladder, hopefully, and get those attached. But let's get this thing trimmed out so we can say the facade's done. Once again, I'd just like to say thanks to all those patrons out there. You guys are the ones that really made all of this possible this year, and I just can't thank you all enough. Well, there it is, in all pain in the butt glory. Now we can start decorating the yard. We'll see all you amazing people next week. It's time to work on the yard now.
You're making something from nothing.
What you want?